What's up, guys, and welcome to the Tarantino tier list.
I'm on the mother.
I've recently gone through all the Tarantino films again for, whatever number of times I've seen each film. I had a friend who's never really seen all of them, and I was like, well, we're going to watch all of them. And watching all of them, I was like, well, now I want to rank all of them. So that's what I'm doing. Got a tier list. Tier list behind me again. Let's do it! I'm going to rank these films on, how much I enjoyed them, how good they were on first viewing, and how well the film holds up today and in the future. Same as before, S through D tier. The rankings are as follows. S tier, it's the one that's called Bad Motherfucker.
It's the one that says bad motherfucker.
A tier is Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
B tier is Bromhilde von Schaft.
Your slave wife speaks German and her name is Brunhilde von Schaft.
C tier is Crazy 88s. And D tier is Don't Be a Square, dude.
Don't be a...
Oh, after you, kitty cat.
I'm going to go in order of release. So the first movie will be Reservoir Dogs.
You touching me for, man?
This was not my first Tarantino film like most people. My first Tarantino film was Pulp Fiction. But I went back and saw Reservoir Dogs, and I was pleasantly surprised. You have all of the Tarantino isms, the good dialogue, the violence, and all that good stuff, and a compelling story, but it all takes place in this one confined area. Well, there are some scenes that are outside, but for the most part, it has to deal with this one room, this room of violence and torture. Again, you have an all-star cast. You have Tim Roth, you have Harvey Keitel, you have Michael Madsen, Chris Penn, the list goes on. Having seen Pulp Fiction and just being used to Tarantino's style of having scenes take place time-wise out of order, Reservoir Dogs wasn't as confusing, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. I like Tarantino's style of having things be revealed later on where you can make those connections. Oh, shit. It's all making sense now. Cool to see all these, now older actors in their youth, like Tim Roth and Steve Buscemi, and even Tarantino himself. I loved having the twist of Tim Roth's character just being the cop, you not knowing for half the film, like, whether or not there really is a snitch or whatever.
Look, man, an undercover cop's got to be Marlon Brando, right? To do this job, you got to be a great actor. You got to be naturalistic. You got to be naturalistic as hell.
And then once you find out, hoping that none of them find out and murder him, even though he's just dying on the floor, bleeding out, dude. The movie was short, quick to the point. I don't think it had that big of a budget, which is why it was filmed the way it was filmed. Just it being in that one, centered around that one location. Oh yeah, the budget was 1.2 million to 3 million. Even in the 90s, it's not that much. And he still made an incredible film. Is it my favorite Tarantino film? No. Do I love it? Yeah, I think it's a great film. I'd give this film probably an Arrivederci. Give it an A tier. It's not, up there with my favorites, but it still holds up today, and, it's cool to see all of these, well-established actors back in their youth and seeing where it all started, man. It was so cool. Next film on the list, Pulp Fiction.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
It's on my shirt, dude. You know what I'm saying? I think this, for me, is just an automatic S tier. You know what I'm saying? Someone said bad mother. All right? That's where the line comes from, dude. This, for me, is Samuel Jackson's best role ever. I mean, Tarantino gave him the most badass monologue, 2 badass monologues of all time in this one film. And just the fact that he would take these simple time and again stories that we've seen where, like, the guy taking money from the mob boss to take a dive for a fight and try and run away with the money. Like, yeah, we've seen that before, but did you see it where they end up chasing each other and end up in some bondage, underground basement? That was crazy. Or the taking the boss's wife or daughter out. We've seen that story before. But have you seen where the boss's wife takes heroin up the nose and you have to stab an adrenaline shot through her chest? Exactly. This film had all the heavy hitters. It had John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, Christopher Walken, with one of the craziest and funniest monologues ever.
He hid it. In one place he knew he could hide something, his ass. 5 long years he wore this watch. Up his ass.
And just the full circle of the entire movie, starting off in the diner and ending it in the diner, I think was just like, you can't teach that, man. That is prime fucking Tarantino. And I think you can rewatch that film over and over again and just find new things, all the subtle nuanced themes that take place throughout the film. It's so sick. It's such a good movie. S tier, Pulp Fiction. Next on the list, Jackie Brown. Go down 110th Street. Yeah, that is one thing overall with all these films. The music, the score is fucking incredible. And when he truly emphasizes the music, it's that much more like, oh shit, dude, I gotta go listen to this when I get home. I gotta go listen to the Delphonics, you know what I'm saying? I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Again, Samuel L. Jackson with another insanely killer role. I mean, I love Pam Grier and I love Robert De Niro, but Samuel Jackson just outshined them both in this film, in my opinion. And again, the list of heavy hitters, dude: Samuel L. Jackson, Robert De Niro, Pam Grier, Michael Keaton, Robert Forster, and Chris Tucker. Even though he's in it for like, you know, half a scene, it was still cool to see Chris Tucker in this film. Again, I think you could watch this film, you know, over and over again and find new stuff all the time, just like Pulp Fiction. I think it isn't as good as Pulp Fiction, but it's right there, dude. I think it's amongst the top 3 or 4. I don't know, that might change as I go through this, but I love that film. And there's always just a shocking death in the film. It could have, you know, not a lot of meaning behind it. It could just happen like that, and it just sticks to your mind. You know what I'm talking about, little blonde surfer girl. R.I.P. to the homie. I give Jackie Brown, I give it a bad mother. You know what I'm saying? S tier. I think it's an S tier film. I really enjoy Jackie Brown. On to the next. The Kill Bill volumes, plural. Yeah, he counts this as one cohesive story on his 10 film rule. Yeah, I agree with it, because if you watch the first one and immediately go into the second one, it just seamlessly fits. And just the way the first one ends, it feels like, man, it's so unfinished. How are we gonna get to Bill? What's gonna happen? You know?
How did you find me?
I'm the man.
I mean, you can tell right off the bat, Tarantino is, you know, he's just a movie nerd. And in a lot of his films, he pays homage to certain styles of film from the past. Clearly with Kill Bill, it was old Akira Kurosawa, Japanese cinema and all that stuff. You know, even having Sonny Chiba being Hattori Hanzo to make the Hattori Hanzo blades was so badass. Sonny Chiba is just a legend from old school films from the 70s and whatnot. Kill Bill Volume 1 was very much so that. I mean, she was in the yellow and black tracksuit that Bruce Lee wore in Game of Death, and the most iconic jumpsuit in history. He definitely went over the top with the violence in this film to a pretty obvious, like, comical point. But I was all there for it, dude. It was a very fun, very awesome, very Tarantino film.
The price you pay for bringing up either my Chinese or American heritage as a negative is I collect your head.
And then you get to Volume 2, which is a much more slower paced film, but still exciting, and we get the, you know, the conclusion. Volume 1 hits you with that great crescendo, and, you know, like most things after that, the epilogue slows it down a bit, and that's what he did in this film. But it was still crazy, it was still awesome, and still leaving you like, whoa, her daughter's alive, what the fuck. It's crazy.
Freeze, mommy.
Bang, bang. Oh, she got us, baby. Mom got us.
Finally getting to see Bill, and for him to die in such spectacular fashion in making up a move that doesn't even exist, just making it sound so awesome on some crouching tiger, hidden dragon. It was so cool. Even the name, the 5-point exploding heart technique. Like, that's like, what? How does that even work? Because, like, you have to take 5 steps in order for your heart to explode. So, like, if you get hit with that, could you sit in a wheelchair and just, like, survive until, like, you would naturally die? Is that how that works? Or could you, like, take a couple steps and be like, all right, I got 3 steps left. Let me sit down. You know? Like, how does that work? curious. Anyways, I give Kill Bill 1 and 2. I'm gonna put them together. I'm gonna give it an arrivederci because it's just a little out there at times. You know, it gets to be like a little caricature version of itself, but I still love it. It's still incredible, and you can rewatch it and have fun with it every single time. And there are those rumors that he wants to make volume 3, you know, following a different character. I'd be okay with that, right? If it followed that, you know, that little girl from the first movie that, you know, saw Copperhead get murdered. Copperhead's daughter. It's like, whoa, dude, that could work. I'm down for that. Next film on the list, Death Proof.
I'm afraid you're gonna have to start getting scared immediately.
Death Proof was a part of that Grindhouse double feature with Tarantino teaming up with his partner in crime, Robert Rodriguez. They co-wrote and co-directed From Dusk Till Dawn, which was pretty awesome. Go check that out. I don't think it's part of the list, right? Don't think so, because this is just a Tarantino list. But this film is a part of it because Tarantino wrote and directed this film. It was just along the Grindhouse double feature where Robert Rodriguez made Planet Terror, Tarantino made Death Proof. Not gonna lie, this film got a mid. I mean, it has the things that, you know, are usually in a Tarantino film and should work. Yeah, it has a great cast. You got Rosario Dawson. You got Kurt Russell. Tarantino back again in his own films. I love that. I do like when directors put themselves in the films. I'm with it sometimes. My problem with this film was how slow it was. The first half is very much so, you know, I'm okay with it, right? We follow this group of girls. We see what happens. Kurt Russell does his thing and obliterates them all. We get to that crazy violence that we see in all of Tarantino's films, and it's like, all right, this shit's getting crazy now. What's gonna happen next? Oh, we're gonna slow it the down. It's gonna be like the first part of the movie again with a different group of girls that we don't really care for much anymore. And kind of turning a menacing character into a little bitch out of nowhere was kind of weird. I mean, the car chase scene is awesome. Don't get me wrong. The action in this movie and the violence that Tarantino is, known for is in here, and it's cool. It's just everything else around it is boring. At least in the second half. Like, I really didn't care to see another group of girls sitting around a restaurant diner table talking about bullshit until it actually got interesting and they talked about that car and they're like, oh yeah, they're about to fucking, something about to happen, right? I felt myself going in and out of the film. Like, as they were talking, I just days off. I'm like, oh, I'm back. Wait, they're still in this diner? What's going on here? What's going on? Tarantino, where's the excitement? What's happening? What's going on, dude? It was okay. Not really. You know what? I can't be nice. It's not a good film. It's not a good film. Cool parts, bad film. If you like it, God bless you. All right, this is just my opinion. Don't attack me, okay? I know Tarantino's. Don't attack me though. He has better films than this. You know that. This film was not that good. Would I recommend it to someone? No. Would I watch it again? Probably not. It's probably a C tier. I wouldn't put D tier because there's definitely worse films. And there are some redeeming qualities about this film, but overall didn't really enjoy watching it. So I give it a C. Give it a crazy 88. Next on the list, Inglourious Basterds.
Each and every man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps. And I want my scalps.
This film is incredible. This, for me, is an automatic S tier. This is a bad motherfucker, man. This is insane. Do I want to see how Hitler died, but Tarantino style? Abso-fucking-lutely. Everyone in this film killed it, dude. Christoph Waltz?
Au revoir, Shoshana!
Hans Landa was so menacing. That opening scene is some of the, for me, that scene is right up there with Ezekiel 25:17. Au revoir, Shoshana! That shit was crazy. And after that opening scene, going right into Brad Pitt and meeting the Inglourious Basterds was just like, yo, I'm so in. The movie is almost 3 hours and it feels like it flies by because it's so suspenseful, so thrilling. It's so crazy. Like the Three Glyces. Remember that? Remember the 3 glasses scene? Huh?
3 Gläser.
Just the tonal shift in that entire scene was crazy. When you realize, oh, everyone's gonna die. This is, whoa. And Hugo Stiglitz.
The reason for Hugo Stiglitz's celebrity among German soldiers is simple. As a German enlisted man, he killed 13 Gestapo officers.
Just like the introduction of characters, it felt like I was like watching a comic book. Like I felt like this was from a comic. It was so, the characters were so rich and the story was so insane. Yeah, like I said, this film is a 10 out of 10 S tier bad motherfucker. For me, it's interchangeable with like my top 3. Some days I'm like, this is number 1. Some days it's not. The next film is Django Unchained.
D-J-A-N-G-O. The D is silent.
I know.
Tarantino's first whack at a spaghetti western, and he just knocks it out of the park, dude. This is amongst the top 3 for me. Again, immediate S tier, bad motherfucker. Django is awesome. See a slave break his chains within the first 5 minutes and become a bounty hunter? What? And then adding in that German folklore, I don't even know if it's real. Sometimes Tarantino just makes up things and it sounds real. I'm pretty sure Ezekiel 25:17 is not a real verse in the Bible, but it sounds like it is. To Google. I mean, it's like half real. It's like it's real, but Tarantino took some creative liberties. And then Christoph Waltz, I mean, he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this film, and it just shows. It just shows.
You know what I think you are?
Would you think I am? No, I don't.
The dichotomy between Hans Landa to then Dr. Schultz is like, what? Completely different character who is compassionate and just wants to help Django.
Why you care what happened to me? Why you care if I found my wife?
Frankly, I've never given anybody their freedom before. And now that I have, I feel vaguely responsible for you.
As opposed to what Hans Landa did, you know, like it's Christoph Waltz is incredible. And again, having Samuel Jackson in here as one of the most menacing characters, smarter than who you thought would have been the main villain. To me, the main villain of this film is Samuel Jackson's character. He's the smartest one in the room. He's the one letting his slave masters know, like, hey, you're kind of stupid. Do you not understand what's going on in that room? Do you not, you know what I'm saying?
They wants that girl.
Steven, what the hell are you talking about?
They playing your ass for a fool is what I'm talking about.
Or even after they capture Django and everyone's saying, oh, we should just gut his dick off or something. That monologue he gave about sending him to the LeQuint Dickey Mining Company was told with such, like, you're going to a great place. But it's, the language was so menacing. And just to end the film with Django staring at the explosion, you know, every other action film's like, too cool to look at this. I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna walk away and not look at that cool ass explosion. Whereas Django was just like, yeah, dude, I did that shit. Again, this film, almost 3 hours. You feel none of that. You just get lost. You just get lost and immersed in this world with these characters. It's so good. Immediate S tier. I love Django. Next on the list, The Hateful Eight.
Not so fast, Chris. We'll get there. Let's slow it down. Let's slow it way down.
Michael Madsen coming back. Samuel Jackson coming back. Kurt Russell coming back. I love when directors just use, you know, they find actors like, yo, we work well together. And it's just, we're doing this. Felt like a true murder mystery. Like, what the f is going on? Straight up, who done it? Taking place during that spaghetti western time with that callback feeling of like Reservoir Dogs. We're just stuck in this one location. I don't think people understand how hard it is to make a film interesting using one room. It's difficult, dude. But Tarantino can do that because his dialogue is so dialed in and tight and good. Now, is this one of my favorite Tarantino films? No. Do I thoroughly enjoy it? Absolutely. What hinders this film for me is the rewatchability of it, because once you find out who it is, it's kind of hard to be like as intrigued as before, because you just know what's going to happen. And another actor that we saw in Django, Walton Goggins, who's now in this film as well, dude, he killed it. It was just so good.
It was me. I poisoned the coffee. I f***ing knew it! Oh! You gonna die now, you murdering bastard!
Becoming one of my favorite actors as of recent, especially with, you know, the Fallout show. Like he killed it in that show too. Surprise Channing Tatum, you know, short role. Not many people get to shoot Sam Jackson in the balls, you know, and have it be cool. But yeah, the violence was there. It wasn't too comical. It was just the right amount of violence. Like I said, the dialogue dialed in. I think I give this film I give it a B tier. A Broomhilde Mannschaft. I enjoyed it. Rewatchability, not so great, but I would definitely recommend go see this film. You have to, especially if you haven't. It's crazy. Next on the list, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Cliff here is meant to help carry the load.
Is that how you describe your job, Cliff?
What, carrying his load? Yeah, it's about right.
This movie, obviously a love letter to 60s cinema, 60s television, all that. This is Tarantino's most recent film, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Is it as good as an S tier? I don't think so. The rewatchability, I think, is there, and the characters are fucking awesome. Characters, like in all of his films, just carry this movie. The relationship between Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth is like, you know, people strive for that kind of friendship, dude.
Hey! Hey!
You're a good friend, Cliff.
I tried.
Just the homiest of homies. I wish I had a dog trained as well as Cliff Booth's dog. My dog just chases his tail a lot. I'm sure if you grew up knowing that kind of world, that cinema, this movie was like, what the f***? It's my childhood. And for movie lovers like myself, that was cool to see. Like, whoa, that was cinema back in the day, dude. That's pretty cool. And it being centered around the Charles Manson murders, it had this unnerving feeling that held through right into that climactic end. Like I would almost forget that, oh yeah, the Manson murders, and then you would see like that cult looming around doing weird shit. I thought something bad was gonna happen to Booth when we went over to Spawn Ranch, but you know, thankfully he just beat the fuck out of people. And some people, you know, who grew up loving Bruce Lee, I'm sure can be like, yo, this film, dude, you can't do that to Bruce. And I get it, you know, but I found it it was pretty funny, dude. Look, I know Bruce is iconic, legendary, but you know, it's a film. It's okay. Oh, my uncles and my dad is like, no, this film. They're pretty upset. And spoiler alert, I was preparing myself for all of these characters to just get mercilessly murdered. But in great Tarantino fashion, he wrote his own story. Like, this is what would have happened if Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth were neighbors to Sharon Tate. And you got one of the most brutal, violent scenes in all of Tarantino's films, which says a lot because there's a lot of violence in a lot of his films, a lot of fucked up scenes. But this was fucked up. But yeah, overall, it was a good film. I think I'd give it an A tier and a Rivaderci. It's not up there for the S tier films for me, but I think it's a pretty good film. But yes, that is my tier list for the Tarantino. What do you think about these films? How do you rank the Tarantino movies? Tell me in the comments below. I want to know, dude. What do you think his last film is going to be? It's supposed to be The Movie Critic, but apparently that got scrapped. So what's going to happen? Who knows? But with that, I bid you adieu. Please like, comment, like I said, subscribe, hit the bell. Take care now, and bye-bye then. Ta-ta.